Okay, hello everyone. Are we still waiting for any of our members or our participants granted access into the webinar now? Hello.
Yes, it seems some people are having issues joining the meeting, so we're trying to sort that. Sorry for the delay.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
When is this meeting going to commence?
We are sorry for the delay. We are starting shortly.
Then you should up the recording. Now you are recording when you are not doing anything. Hello, sir.
With I'll be doing this section with Mr. Boyika Olorunfemi. But before I bring Mr. Boyika on board, I would like to just do a bit of background on the program on the concept of UNFCCC, because this section is focused on understanding UNFCCC. And I have some thoughts here to share with us, some of the thoughts to share with us, so that we can understand what this convention is about, and that will also enhance our participation, especially with respect to the involvement of the CSOs, the civil society organizations. All right, it's so good to know that the UNFCCC, the full meaning is the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, and is also referred to as UNFCCC. The reason for, the convention provides a foundation for multilateral actions to combat climate change and its impact on humanity and ecosystem. And also, it's also good to know that the convention is built up on the Paris Agreement and the Kyoto Protocol. If you may ask me, what is the objective of the UNFCCC? Why is this convention established? The reason why the convention was established is for the purpose of stabilizing the greenhouse gas, which is also known as the GHG, the greenhouse gas concentration in the atmosphere at a level that would prevent dangerous anthropogenic interference with the climate system, because we all know that there's nowhere we want to go. This is the planet, even though according to the lessons we know back then in secondary school, we know that there are about 9 planets, and we also, one of the things that we're taught is that the only planet that can sustain life is, human life, or let me just say the biosphere is actually the planet Earth, and it's very important that we begin to protect the climate, the earth. And one of the arising issue now is the fact that there's an increase in the greenhouse gases, in the sense that, which is due to increased anthropogenic activity. And if you ask me what are the anthropogenic activities, these are activities that are caused by they are human-induced activities, which include some of the things that we do at the level of the domestic level, which involves burning of bushes or felling of trees, deforestation, and also on the higher scale, which is industrial activities. And that is the reason why the UNFCCC was established. This is a convention that has been in existence since about 1992. And I can say that when the convention started, the atmosphere is still safer than now that we have it, in terms of the concentration of the CO2 in the atmosphere is not as much as what we have now. And because the way the concentration is increasing, it has become very important and become there's an urgent action, an urgent need for us to begin to talk about how we can reduce the concentration of the greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. All right, I also want to talk about why is there a need to act in case for, this for purpose of all the CSOs, that are here on the call. The reason why we need to act is that it is very important that we understand that because of the increase in the industrialization, like I have mentioned, the deforestation level, and also increase the level of human activities, it has become very imperative for us to come together and have a convention. And in where we're preparing for the COP28, we can easily go on the website. There are some thematic areas that I saw on the website, and it's also good to know that Dubai is hosting this this year COP20 this year COP. When I went on the website, I saw that about 3 thematic areas, which include innovation, include technology, it also includes finance, and also it also talks about inclusion. I mean, in such a way that this is a time. And I think that is why I feel like civil society organizations can have an input, because one of the major thematic areas this COP is focusing on is inclusion. And you may all agree with it that when it comes to inclusion literally means that you're bringing everybody on board, all hands are on deck. Everybody needs to bring in their input. Everybody needs to work together, both the youth, the entrepreneurs, different sectors, different agencies. We need to all work together. Before I'm going to, because I'm just going to have just little time to do this, I would like to just say something about climate change, why we need to talk about climate change. I have some jottings here, and I would like to just read to us. Climate change is inherently global in nature. I mean, climate change did not just start yesterday. I mean, it has been since the day of our forefathers, and it's just little things. I remember when in the secondary school, I would just like to make sure the first time I heard about climate change was, I mean, there's always comparison between climate change and weather, in the sense that they will tell you that weather is atmospheric change within a short period of time. But when it comes about climate change, you're talking about a long period of time. And I mean, science have it that the minimum is 10 years consideration. So that means that the things that we're experiencing today is a compilation or building up of what has happened in the past. And if you want to prevent the future, we need to watch what we are doing today, because what we do today will determine the appearance of tomorrow. So climate change is very important. It's a topic we need to all discuss about. We need to start strategizing. We need to start involving everybody. And I think the civil society organization play a vital, because we're in touch with the community, we're in touch with the people, we're in touch with people at the grassroots, we're in touch with people at the local level. What are they doing that is wrong? You know, what are they doing? What can they do to be right? And I'm also sure that another way I call the CSOs, that we are the voice to the voiceless, you know, and that's where we're thinking we're going to be going to COP, you know, to present our case. But if we don't understand what the convention is focused on, it will be very difficult for us to actually present our case. I'll just read one or two sentences that I have here, that the emission of the long-lived greenhouse gas effects, I mean, greenhouse gases into the atmosphere from sources anywhere on the globe, we affect the atmospheric concentration. And what happens when the atmospheric concentration is affected is that, number one thing that we're going to focus on is they're going to experience is that the number one, the planet is going to be difficult. It's not going to be conducive for everybody to live, for the life there. And when I'm talking about the life, I'm not just talking about human being, I'm also talking about plant, I'm also talking about animal. And what happens is that human beings are going to fall sick, plants are going to fall sick, and animals are going to fall sick. And when plants fall sick, what happens is that there'll be scarcity of food, you know, there'll be food insecurity in the community and the environment. And also, what happens when the animal falls sick? Because if you will, in case you are aware of the concept, the new concept of the one Earth, in the sense that there's a triangle. You know, we have human on the top of the triangle. You know, and we have by the side we have the plants and we have the animals, and in between the triangle we have the environment. So if the environment is not conducive, the 3 components of life will be affected. And what also happens again is that there will be increase, you know, in the spread of diseases. Imagine infectious diseases is going to be more prevalent, and also and if that happens, that means we're going to be seeing more of Ebolas and many others. Okay, so I'll just round up on this. I don't know if I still have more time. I'm checking. Okay, yeah. So I was just going to round up by saying this, that it is very important. It's very important we know that COP28 is not just another gathering. It's a convention. It's an international treaty where there are representatives from different parts of the world. As much as we all know that Africa is not generating so much of what is causing climate change, but we also know that we suffer even with the little concentration of greenhouse gases that we generate, we suffer more of the consequence, because, you know, the developed country, as much as they are producing, they are contributing immensely to the climate change, they also have technologies, or they have tech techniques or they have strategies to actually support the effects. But when it comes to the African continent, we don't generate so much, but yet the effect on us is quite a lot. So while we just prepare towards the COP28, let's know that we have a voice. We need to, bring our points on the table, and also we need to support what the government and what other stakeholders are doing. So in order to further this, so thank you so much once again, Madam Titi, for having me here. So in order to further what we are doing, I would like to bring on board the facilitator for this section, Mr. Gboyega Olorunfemi. Mr. Gboyega Olorunfemi is going to be giving us detailed information on understanding the UNFCCC. I have just given a brief of it, but I have Mr. Olorunfemi who is going to be giving us a detailed approach to these. I would like to read Mr. Olorunfemi's bio before I bring him on board to facilitate this section. So please, I can see that the technical team has displayed Mr. Olorunfemi's bio, so I'm just going to go ahead to read. You can also read along with me. All right. Mr. Gboyega Olorunfemi is the project lead at Society for Planets and Prosperity, SPP. He has worked on several high-profile sub-regional, national, and international projects with interventions on circular economy, green recovery, sustainable development goals, SDG, energy transition, climate change policy, and also is actively involved in civil society organizations, engagement, and environment affiliation to Okama. Highlight for climate transformation by 2025, which is Act 2025. He is also involved with the World Resources Institute and the European Climate Foundation. Okay, so Gboyega has contributed to remarkable sustainable projects. He has been involved in the Green Recovery Project, the inauguration of the Circular Business Platform Lagos, which is an initiative by the Consulate of the Kingdom of Netherlands and Holland Circular Hotspots Project. He's also been involved in mobilizing investment for clean energy in Nigeria. He has also been involved in Lagos Circular Economy. He's also been involved in Lagos State and Holland Circular Hotspot. With no doubt, you can see that Mr. Olorunfemi has not just an expertise, but also a wide experience when it comes to climate change. Mr. Olorunfemi, I would like to just say that Mr. Gboyega has served as mentor. He has also served as panelist, contributor, and keynote speaker at programs organized by the UNSDS network, the UN Climate Technology Center, the Office of the Sustainable Development Goal and Investment, the Lagos State government at the level, and quite a lot of them. His opinion on salient environmental and development issues have been featured on The Guardian and Tribune, Vanguard, the Cable, the National newspaper, including other numerous online resources. Mr. Gboyega is a member, and also is a member of the African Circular Economy Network, Nigerian chapter member. He's also a trained climate reality leader. He's a research fellow. He's an alumnus of the prestigious University of Lagos, United Nations System Staff College. So I would like you to join me right in the chat box. If you are here, I want you to join me to welcome Mr. Gboyega. Please, let's welcome Mr. Gboyega, right? I want us to give him a warm welcome. So, Mr. Gboyega, can you hear me? So it's good to have you. And
yeah, I can hear you. All right, thank you, Ife, and for this, for that welcome, and then thank you for the introduction to this program. I also like to say thank you to our very important participant for joining this session. I'll just be taking us through some of the things that we already know. We felt that there's need for us to have this engagement, and then maybe a refresher as we prepare for the COP28. I like to also make this statement that this program is with the support from the FCDO, British High Commission. We'll be running this for the rest of the time we have to prepare for COP28. So if you have my slide, you can then go ahead to share just some few tips on Nigeria CSOs on the way to COP28, navigating the UNFCCC's processes and then participation. So my session today would only focus on understanding the UNFCCC. We have found a need to also enhance CSOs going to COPs, and more importantly, the global climate policy stage without the much needed capacity. However, what we are providing as part of what I will be doing today is to lead us into what it is to come in the coming days. So the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC, provides the basis for concerted international action to mitigate climate change and to adapt to its impact. Its provisions are far-sighted, innovative, and firmly embedded in the concept of sustainable development. With about 197 parties, the convention has nearly a universal membership, and we are all aware of activities, engagements that has been ongoing, and that is also leading to COP28. Next slide. So some little brief about the histories and background. The 1979, actually rather the first World Climate Conference, leading up to the Montreal Protocol, and at the same time the setting of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the IPCC, in the 80s. Also 1991, where we have the very first meeting of the IPCC, and then the Rio Convention. So we see that in 1994, the UNFCCC entered into force. From there, we have seen progress being made. The first Conference of Party, the Secretariat was set up, the Kyoto Protocol formally adopted, and then the release of the IPCC's first assessment report. If you show me the next slide. So next slide leads us to progress that have been made after we have the entry into force of the Kyoto Protocol, and then also saying the Copenhagen Accord, the Cancun Agreement, the Durban Platform for Enhanced Action, and of course, we have the Paris Agreement, which seems to have become the baby of all agreement, and then what we have begin to see in the streams of conversations that we have today. Like I earlier mentioned, there are over 197 parties to the convention, and about another 192 to the Kyoto Protocols, which makes this universal in its entire approach. And of course, leading on the key decisions and then the actions that the world is taking today. This is more like a brief of some of the background into the convention. Next slide. Then just talk about the objective of the convention, and then there's one ultimate objective which is actually spelled out in the Article 2 of the convention. Paramount in this is the stabilization of the greenhouse gas concentration in the atmosphere at a level that would not present dangerous anthropogenic interference with climate. At the same time, this becomes important that we set this objective and is reflected in all the things that we do, in all the follow-ups that has to do relating to the convention. At the same time, such a level should be achieved within a time frame sufficient to allow the ecosystem to adapt. We will see more of the need for why the ecosystem needs to adapt in the course of my presentation, and to also ensure that food production is not threatened, and then to enable economic development to proceed in a sustainable manner. You agree with me that some of the items, some of the conversations leading to COP28 is in the area of food security, and then we all also diving into conversation about the sustainable development goals. Next slide. I would also be talking about the principles of the convention in the next slide. Number one of the very three principles that I captured is the principle of the precautionary principle. If you can roll my slide. This is actually the principle 15 of the 1992 Rio Declaration on Environment and Development. It says that the lack of full scientific certainty shall not be used as a reason, to postpone cost-effective measure to prevent environmental degradation where there is a threat of serious or irreversible damage. So it means we should always rise to action in the face of any threat. The principle of common but differentiated responsibility and respective capabilities is principle 7 of the Rio Declaration. The developed country parties should take responsibility in combating climate change and adverse effects thereof. The last one is the principle of sustainable development. Policies and measures to protect the climate system should be appropriate for the specific conditions of each party and should be integrated into with national development program. This also speaks to the fact why national adaptation plans and programs are very important. The principles of the convention are stipulated in Article 3, which also states that these principles are not exhaustive in the real sense of it. And we have seen this playing out in the different streams of negotiations that we encounter at all time. We talk about UNFCCC and COP28. Next slide. There are parties to this convention, and over time, it keeps evolving. The convention has divided into some 3 categories, if not more. But these are the main one, according to differing commitments. Annex 1, known as Annex 1 parties, non-Annex 1 parties, and Annex 2 parties. Next slide. So for those in the Annex 1 countries like Australia, United States of America, Canada, they include the industrialized countries that were members of the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development in 1992, plus countries with economies in transition, EIT parties, including the Russian Federation the Baltic states, and several Central and Eastern European states. Next slide. So these are the Annex 2 parties. They consist of the OECD members of Annex 1, but not the EIT parties, and they are required to provide financial resources to enable developing countries to undertake emission reduction activities under the convention, and then and help them adapt to adverse effects of climate change. In addition, they have to take all practicable steps to promote the development and transfer of environmentally friendly technologies to help these countries. And as CSOs, it's important that we have an idea of where we pitch in terms of maybe trying to access funds or approaching for support for projects in line with our respective goals and objective. Next slide. So the non-Annex 1 parties are mostly developing countries. Certain groups of developing countries are recognized by the convention as being especially vulnerable to the adverse impact of climate change, including countries with low-lying coastal areas and those prone to desertification and drought. Others, such as countries that rely heavily on income from fossil fuel production and commerce, feel more vulnerable to the potential economic impact of climate change. Their activities actually promise to answer the special needs and concerns of these vulnerable countries, such as investment, insurance, and technologies. Some of them, as Azerbaijan, Bhutan, Bolivia, etc., falls in this category. Next slide. So we talk more about the key milestones. Next slide, please. So key milestones and agreements within the UNFCCC. This list is really not exhaustive, but we have seen over time since the adoption of the Kyoto Protocol, which also established the legal binding emission reduction for developed countries. We also, I'm also very sure many of us talk about the COP in Marrakesh. I've also mentioned the Copenhagen, and of course the COP in Paris, where the Paris Agreement was adopted in order to limit global warming to well below 2 degrees Celsius. And I'm very sure we're talking about 1.5 even at this time. We also see what happened in Glasgow. At the same time, we also all hailed the loss and damage agreement in Egypt. Next slide. So while I have made this as much as it's introductory, in also an attempt to trigger our engagement with the history so that we know where we are coming from and then have an understanding of where we are going in order to act. So as CSOs, it's important that we acquaint ourselves with this background and leverage on the latest information in the course of executing our respective projects and holding parties to be accountable and responsible. It is also important to say that and then leverage on this word from the UN Secretary General in the last United Nations General Assembly, where he said, action is what the world needs. So as CSOs and as we continue to engage in the coming days, we would like to begin to see action. And this engagement is also not going to end here. From feedback that we have gotten, we noticed that it's been a lot difficult engaging CSOs pre-COP, at the COP, and post-COP. But we are starting this to create that platform where COP or no COP, CSOs are engaged and at the same time provide the opportunities to thrive and to make their voice to be heard at all time. Thank you for your attention. If there are questions, I'll be looking through whether in the chats or not, I'll be able to pick them up so that we can then attend to, maybe we can lead on to the next session. Thank you for participating, and look forward to engaging with your questions and then feedback. Thank you, Ife. Over.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Boyega, for that in-depth presentation. Thank you for taking us through the journey when UNFCCC, I love the way you pronounce it, UNFCCC, and I think I should also adopt it instead of saying UNFCCC. All right, thank you so much for taking us through the stats to the current situation and also reminding us of how the journey has been. It's so very important to also know that we are following. And also, please, I will also say that if you can take notes, please do take notes. I also know that the recording of this training is going to be available to everybody so that we can watch and also take so much point. All right. It's also very important. I also remind you that everybody joining us that attendance is very, very important. Please do well check the chat box. We have the attendance form there. Please do well to check. It will really it's a brief one. You wouldn't even spend up to 2 minutes before you know it, you're already done. All right, so we're going to be progressing in today's training, and all right. Okay. Yes. Not just I've just been informed that it's not just the attendance form that you're meant to fill, but you also have a survey, and then the link is right in the chat box. Please do well. Everybody joining us, I would like to encourage you to please fill the attendance form and also take the survey. All right, we're going to be moving on to the second section of today's training, and we're going to be going to the second section. The second section is focused on understanding the UNFCCC structure, governance structure, understanding the UNFCCC. So if you hear me say CCC, please just know that it's CCC. We're going to be understanding the UNFCCC governance structure, and on this for the second section, I'll be bringing on board the moderator, Esther Adedeji. So I would like to read Esther Adedeji's bio so that she can actually have the floor. So I have the honor to read about Esther Adedeji. Is an environmentalist with over 8 years work experience that cut across energy, climate change, urban development, and she holds a Bachelor of Sciences and a Master's degree in Urban Management and Development with a focus on urban development environment from the University of Netherlands. She has a keen interest in energy access and sustainability. Her work experience involve capacity building on climate issues, research work on climate change, energy use, access, and mainstreaming of gender into the energy projects. Currently, Esther's work is focused on climate policy developments, ESG, sustainability reporting, carbon pricing, capacity building, and training. She's involved in climate consultancy process services for NNPC, which include development of climate strategy, the the GHG inventory and climate project development. She has actively coordinated the study on the assessment of the potentials of carbon pricing initiative in Nigeria. Also, Esther Adedeji was a prominent member of the team that developed the ESG and ETP development for 4 Nigerian-owned energy companies. She aspires to lead the sustainability team in making a meaningful contribution in environmental consultancy. So I have the honor to bring on board Esther Adedeji, as she will be moderating the second section. Madam Esther, are you there? So please, you can have the floor.
Thank you very much, Ifelua. Can you see me on camera?
Oh, I can. Yes, I can see you, but I just noticed that it's like the lightning at your end is a bit needs to just a little bit of maybe you increase the lightning if it's possible. But I can hear you very well.
Is it okay this way?
Okay, let me check your face out. Okay, all right, not yet. Nothing. Yeah, not yet. It's just a bit blurry.
It's blurry.
Yeah, yes.
Okay. Maybe I'll just have to change my.
Okay, your location, right? Okay, yeah, perfectly. I can see your face.
Okay, yes, I am perfect.
It's just the orientation. Yeah, just I think a bit of adjustment of your orientation. Yeah.
Right, sorry, Fair.
All right, that's fine.
Is it much better now?
Yeah, okay, I can hear your voice very well, but it's just a video that it's not showing, it's not displaying for now. Okay, yes, I think we're good to go.
I think we'll just. Well, yeah. I don't know why this laptop. It's a new laptop, and
it's okay.
I don't know why it's showing me sideways.
But I can see you, and I can hear you very well.
You can see me from another angle, lady.
I can hear.
All right, thank you very much. So I'll be moderating the second session, which has to do with understanding the UNFCCC governance structure, and I'll be introducing Prince Israel Oreka. I think we have to have his profile being displayed, so I'll read his biography. I think you have to take down mine. All right, thank you very much. So I read now. Prince Israel Oreka is an environmental and climate adaptation advocate who has devoted over 8 years to championing the cause. His primary focus has been on empowering marginalized community in Nigeria's Niger Delta region. Through his association with the non-governmental organization Connected Advocacy, he has effectively bolstered community resilience in the face of environmental crises, climate change, and energy poverty. Israel's active involvement in global climate conference, including the prestigious Conference of Parties and subsidiary bodies, has provided him with the opportunity to represent the perspective of local communities on the international stage. His notable contributions include a key role in the 58th session of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change in Germany and advocacy for climate justice at the African Climate Summit held in Nairobi, Kenya. Furthermore, Israel has also made influential contribution as the editor of the Fix Climate Crisis Now, The Story from Africa, and as a former consultant to the Johns Hopkins Center for Communication Program, the TCI Project Nigeria. This endeavor, I highlights its commitment to raising awareness and mobilizing action on climate issue. It's worth mentioning that Mr. Oreka's advocacy effort extend beyond environmental concerns. He has actively supported governance and human rights issues, including his involvement in advocating for the age reduction bill in South Nigeria. His education and impact have been recognized through various accolades, including the Social Impact Award. The Social Impact Award. Could you help me scroll up, please? Okay, his active supported governance and human rights issues, including his involvement in advocating for the age reduction bill in South Africa. His dedicated and impact have been recognized through various accolades, including the South Social Impact Award, the Young African Leadership Initiative, Edo Community Development Award. Prince Israel Oreka takes great pride in his accomplishments and remains, please scroll up. Please, I'm having difficulty reading the last part. Could you please help me scroll down? Well, it's almost impossible to read this, but I think all in all, that's a great achievement from Prince Israel. So he's accomplished a lot in the area of COP and generally the governance structure of the UNFCCC. Is the right person we have to give us an in-depth understanding of this session. So basically, I would ask participants to drop their question and as we commence this section. Thank you. Over to you, Prince Israel.
Yeah, a very good evening, a good afternoon, good morning, wherever you're hearing me from. I'm delighted to be here this afternoon. Thank you for the introduction, and I'll go straight to the point. Today, I'm just going to be focusing absolutely on the evolution of international climate policy and the role of COP and SBs. The understanding of this global effort to combat climate change. All we are trying to do is towards galvanizing actions, local to global, in mitigating climate change, using different tools, technology, and tactics. So it's a call for concern, and if you can roll up my slide, my objective today is simple. I'm just looking at the UNFCCC governance structure as concerns the COP, the Conference of Parties, which is COP, the subsidiary bodies, which is the SB, and the SBSTA, and looking at the roles and the functions of COP and SB, and the national focal points, their roles at UNFCCC implementation. Thank you, the host, 21st Century & Co., for putting up this laudable initiative together, because the objective of this meeting is apt, and the need for citizens to begin to galvanize actions, influence towards championing a cause for mitigating climate change. So my specific objective today is aim to provide you with a comprehensive understanding of the global effort to combat climate change. The UNFCCC framework, Convention on Climate Change, the foundation of the International Climate Cooperation, which is the UNFCCC that brings together annually the 197 parties that are involved in it, observer groups, and negotiators and representatives of these nations that have signed treaty to this agreement. So we meet annually to deliberate a new course for action. Where are we? Where do we want to be? And how do we get there? So in a nutshell, this is what the COP processes is all about. Bringing new technology, innovations, and global goal for mitigating these actions. So in 1992, if you listen in the opening remark, the establishment of the UNFCCC, which is the United Nations Framework Convention for Climate Change, was developed. It provided a framework for international cooperations to combat climate change. We find out that the issue is not for a nation alone. It's a general challenge. So it needs a general input. It needs a general fight. So there's need for co-creation, collaboration in the fight against climate change. So that is why these parties comes together annually, and also accredited observers also do same to be part of it. So the goal was to limit the average global temperature increase and cope with the impacts of the climate change. So what do we do? How do we reduce the greenhouse gases to a barest minimum, looking at 1.5 centigrade? So it's a call for concern, and the need for us to keep this alive is what we are all coming together to champion a cause for. So the laid down foundation was for subsequent climate agreements like the Kyoto Protocol that was held in Japan. There were agreements made there. We bring them back again. Then we also have another agreement made called the Paris Agreement that was also made in 2015. So the Conference of Parties come together to look at these agreements, look at what role countries have been playing and what needed to be done. So the Conference of Parties plays this pivotal role in putting together this global event to push what we call policy direction for a global climate change action. So
Prince Israel.
Can you hear me, please?
Okay, for a few moments, we couldn't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I believe everyone can hear you.
Can you hear me now, please? Is the network is about to rain here, so I'm so sorry for that.
We can hear you, sir.
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Yeah, the subsidiary body is like the planning hub for the COP. It's called the SB. And the SBSTA, that is the subsidiary body for technical advisory body that advise the COP on what policy direction they should look at, the agenda, what the agenda should look like. And most times it do happen in the headquarters of the UNFCCC, which is in Bonn, Germany. So here we bring out all the various articles, protocols, commitment, then we'll now begin to set an agenda for what the next COP will look like. So it prepares for more actions and what's to be done. So it deals with both the implementation of what activities to be working on, and also advice on how the dimension that the COP should be looking at. So this year, I think they are looking at more around financing, loss and damage financing, because in Sharm el-Sheikh, the framework was they tried to develop the framework. Now, how do we begin to put money to climate action? So I think that's what COP28 is looking at. Then how do we use technology? How do we bring investment into mitigating climate change? How do we strengthen loss and damage? But I have concern with some issues. I think I did not need to bring it here, but let me just explain how these processes are. So is this SB that generates the actions, give the scientific backgrounds, the technical matters, while the OSB focusing on how do we now implement these actions. So what are the roles of the COP and SB? COP set an overall direction, goals of international climate policy. Remember, I told you climate change is a global concern. The crisis does not only affect we here in Nigeria, it affects both the Annex 1 country and the Annex 2. It affects both the global south and the global north. So it's a global issue. So these are, the COP helps set this direction and the goals for implementing this. If you were in Sharm el-Sheikh, the goal for that was together for implementation. How do we build cooperation to implement climate action agenda around countries?
I think once again we've lost Prince Israel, so we could just give him a few moments to get back. I think he's having a problem with his connection.
The focus of the focal point still remains, it sounds like an intermediary body between the secretariat, that's the UNFCCC secretariat, and the country themselves. So the focal point plays a critical role within the UNFCCC structure. They represent their countries and facilitate communication. So if you want to get updates on the FDC, you want to get updates on the country's commitment to those Paris agreements, where are you people now? How is your global stock take? The things that you have been committed in doing, how well have you been doing it? So this focal point brings to the table of the UNFCCC the outcomes, activities that countries have been facilitating. So the SARS as intermediary and those who the Secretariat can rely on to get information, cooperation around climate change negotiation. Then a key part of this international climate policies and their landscape is that these people serve as the bridge, the focal points. So they play a very crucial role for countries at COP, for countries for the Secretariat, UNFCCC Secretariats as well. And they also follow through some of the negotiations, some of the treaties, agreements they've engaged on. So this is how it works. So in a nutshell, the COP processes, I think the nomenclature of it is to see how best countries galvanize action together to work out solutions towards mitigation and adaptation of the impact of climate change. So that is why every year, people, countries, parties, observer groups come together to speak and also find a direction towards mitigating climate change. Though there are different investors in there, the polluters are there, the civil society are there, the countries are also speaking. So it's where we now say, what do we want to do and how do we do it? So COP puts this platform together to be able to do that. So that is why COP28 again now is setting another new center stage for that, so that we can all have what we do. The process is most times is cumbersome when you are there. You need to find time to look out for which sections do you want to participate on. So that is why there is need for your calendar, your map, which of the negotiation room you need to be for those who are negotiators. There are different negotiating rooms, those who are negotiating for loss and damage, those who are negotiating for the Warsaw on loss and damage. They all have different rooms. We have civil society also have their own rooms. Then we now have what we call the pavilions. We have different groups, pavilions showcasing what they've done or what their issues are. Then that's how people collate these stories to form part of what the actions. Then there are also actions. I think the first 2 days is going to be the Global Climate Summit, where all the entire world will meet, and let's see where we are, where we want to be, and how we'll get there. So then there are sections around. CSOs also have their own part, which I'm interested in, which I'm part of, building voices over particular issues that wants to be in the agenda. Fix Climate Finance now will put up a slogan, and as they begin to chant it around where those parties are, most times they take some of these actions and feed it into the agenda. So that is why everybody are going there. Then also the investors are also going there, polluters are also going there to see how their interests too could be protected. So it's like a marketplace for countries, investors, businesses, and also civil society, and also some marginalized and indigenous groups. So in a nutshell, this is what COP processes is all about. I hope this little deposition of mine finds a purpose towards adding value to what we've learned today. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you very much, Prince Oreka. Thank you for the very insightful presentation. I believe you have given us a clear and a concise overview of the UNFCCC governance structure. So I think now we should go to the question and answer section. I believe we have computed in our questions. I haven't seen much. Participants, please, I would encourage us to send in our questions, fill in the survey and the attendance sheet as well. Okay, there's a question. Right, we can hear you. Please go ahead with your question.
No, I just wanted to tell you that there's a question in the box, in the chat.
Okay. Who is it directed to? Let me check it out. Okay, what is the processes for organization to achieve? Okay. I think I could. Should I make the position to this, please?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Senator. For you to be an accredited.
Sorry, we've lost him once again.
Hello?
Sorry, we lost you. The connection went off, so maybe you just have to.
Can you recall? Can you hear from me again, please?
Yes, we can hear from you. But
okay, I said okay
to hear your response.
Yes, for my friend Senator, for you to put in for application, you need to put your application before August each year because it is being reviewed at SP. It is being reviewed at SP, and your application, there are criteria for registration. You can get them at the UNFCCC website. Criteria for registration is being updated, so you can check it for latest update. Once you get those criteria, have you been working around climate action? Do you have track records? Can we see publications that speak to what you have done? So if you can gather these stories, it's part of what you would need. Then also, are you legally registered in where you are as an entity? Can the UNFCCC in your state or your country knows what you are doing, because they also verify from them too. So once you tender this application, you have all your formal registration and everything. They review it at SBs. So before COP, those who have completed the application period and the requirements, they are admitted. So then you can now, they'll now admit you and give you a quota. Most times they will give you 2 quota. That is, you can admit the focal point, the organization focal point, and one person can also be represented. So you must gather those stories of what you've done, have legal status, and then you can approach the UNFCCC for your registration.
Thank you, Prince Israel.
And it's absolutely free. It's free.
Thank you, Prince Israel. So, Mr. Boyega, you have your hand raised up. I think you should just go ahead and ask a question.
Thank you very much. I was actually going to provide an answer to a question asked by African Coalition on Green Growth about are you able to assist NGOs who finding it hard or difficult to be registered? Okay, I think Mr. Prince already shared highlight on that. The other question that I actually wanted to answer was the one about are you going to have platform where CSOs, NGOs are going to discuss UNFCCC throughout, and do you have the means of support for those who would love to attend but does not have the financial muscle? So I'll answer it this way, that with the support from FCDO, British High Commission, the Center for 21st Century, the Society for Planet and Prosperity, and then EnviroNews Development Network is engaging through this platform from now into the days leading to COP28, and using that as an opportunity to provide, to bring together CSOs to begin to amplify their voices, and then giving CSOs that opportunity to belong together and then have this shared prosperity, including what they do in their respective, fulfilling their respective objective, but at the same time, have opportunity that will open up access to funding for your respective trips. Unfortunately, at the moment, there are no funding for CSOs from us to those who are willing to travel to COP. But what we are doing now is more of a first, bringing CSOs together to shape the direction of conversation and aligning them with what is happening within the global policy space, so that CSOs will not just go to COP and then return from COP the way it has used to be. So we are creating a platform where even while you are at the COP, you are engaging. And in the end, we're able to say CSOs from Nigeria have been able to put together a briefing of what they see transpired in COP. So these are ways to begin to have collective platform to communicate. And from what we're doing, it's important that you are rest assured that there are opportunities that will be opening up when they begin to see outcome of these engagements. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Boyega. There is a pending question here from Stephanie. What are some of the things you expect during COP processes as a novice at COP?
Oh, okay. So I'd just like to take a quick shot at that. I would just advise that you kindly stay in touch and ensure that you attend all of the training, the engagement sessions, and don't miss anyone, because we've actually been able to spread them over this very short time, but they are loaded to ensure that you get yourself acquainted with these processes, and then from there you are able to take actions that are specific, goal-oriented, and then of course with direction for your organization. So there's nothing to fear about. I'm sure Prince kind of
Prince, what is your?
So you might want to provide additional input. I'm actually speaking from the part of one of the organizers of these engagements. So there's a lot that you can look forward to within the shortest time we have close to COP, but you would gain a whole lot without missing any. Thank you.
Prince, over to you.
Let me save that deposition. Thank you very much. There's a lot happening in COP. There are traders there. There are buyers there. So what are you going there to do? You first of all ask yourself, are you going there as a researcher? Because there are universities also coming there with their own research work. There are investors also coming there with their inventions. Then there are parties who are doing negotiation and lobbying around which of their own actions should be on the table. So there's a lot of lobbying also going on around the parties and the party overflows. So it's a whole lot of issues. So if you are not there with an objective, you burn out and you can even fall sick. So what are you going there to do? Like for students, some go there to understand some of these processes. So there are sessions you can go to, and there are badges that can allow you. If you are not having the party badge, you cannot be in the most of those high-level meetings where governors, presidents are also meeting. Is for those people with party badge, then and some few admitted observers. So these are all negotiations going on. You ask yourself, what exactly am I going to COP to do? So most times, many of us just go to COP because we just want to travel. I think it's more than that. COP is a serious place for a serious business, for people who actually have business doing with the climate change space. It's like our annual convention, just like you do in church. So it's a convention we looked at what should go in and what is not. Then there is a lot of negotiations. There are negotiators also that represent countries in most of these arguments, in most of the articles, in most of the objectives. If you look at UNFCCC, a calendar for the 12 days, you see various activities. The day will be speaking to land use, food system. There are days for the 2 days is high level. The first 2 days, that is, I think, first and second. Yes, these are high level. So this is where the presidents, they meet. What are we doing next? Okay, now we are talking about financing. Who is taking what? So that is where it is very imperative that countries go there with their selling points. What are their own key issues? And have negotiators in all the rooms negotiating key interests of what? Their commitments. Like Nigeria now has about 64, about 62% on their NDC as their target goal is to pursue energy. While I follow that is land use and other things remains 15% and other small percent. So Nigeria I think what they are going there to sell is going to be energy. They want energy, just transition and energy financing. So each country goes there with their own NDC targets, what they'll be able to do and what they want to do next. How can it be financed? So it's a whole ball of negotiation. So you just choose carefully the sessions you'll be attending, because every day from 8 a.m. to about 6 or 9, 10, 11 at night, there are meetings going on and there are different rooms. So you need to first of all understand the map dynamics. Where are these meetings going to? So you need to be friend to the UNFCCC website, look at the agenda for the day, because every day has its own agenda. Then look at where you're supposed to be. If not, then you begin to plan your movement ahead of time so that you will not miss your venue. So it's a smooth and interesting event that you will learn a lot from, and also meet with new people with new issues. Yeah, cheers.
Thank you, Prince Oreka. We have questions on registration, people trying to register and gaining an observer status. I think, Mr. Boyga, maybe you would help us shed light to this.
Okay, thank you so much for that question. I think that Prince has highlighted what needed to be done to get observer status, and then and registration for COP. Many that really do not have observer status at the moment, what usually happens is they get to write a letter on the organization's letterhead, and then and send that to and make a request to the National Council on Climate Change. That's the NCCC, which is actually the Nigeria focal point for all UNFCCC engagement. From there, you can then be assisted in processing accreditation for COP. However, you also have to have shown, of course, history of what you're doing in this space in order for NCCC to be able to also process that that for you. So I'll leave that at that. And I don't want to forget this. What we have also put together is a form which we ask participants to kindly complete. This would also give us that opportunity to be able to engage with you and then be able to help CSOs to schedule which activities they are going to be engaged in. We are going to be on ground. Those who are not going to be on ground, of course, still can then be readily available to take part in all of these engagements. What we did while in Nairobi at the Africa Climate Summit, where every other day, you know, as representative of CSOs in collaboration with our international partners, we usually have a debriefing session, you know, to actually be able to know that we know what we are doing, why we are here, and at the same time putting together our voices. And then at the end of the Africa Climate Summit, we actually had to release a briefing, you know, to showcase what were the key highlights, you know, what were those things that were not mentioned, just like what Prince has elaborated, is we must, going to COP, going to any of these meetings, we must know why we are going there. And we must also have that, that ambition of what we want to take out of there. And as CSOs, how are we able to make our leaders accountable and responsible if we don't pay attention to what they are discussing, or if we don't have insight of what is to happen, and then see whether this action aligns with the agreement, or with the Paris Agreement, or with the Sharm el-Sheikh agreements, then we can come back to say, no, if we are taking this position, no. So this is also what makes us responsible. Let us play our roles. And then we realize that this gap exists. And that's why we are organizing this event. And like I said, I would encourage that our leaders who are currently participating make sure that they stay on this engagement, and then to enable us have that front where we are able to create platform for collective CSOs engagement. Thank you.
Sorry, let me just come in again. Please, for those who are asking about accreditation, remember also that there are organizations in Nigeria that have observer status who can help you to register. I hope they still have some space. You go to the UNFCCC website, you see the list of organizations in Nigeria that are accredited. Send a mail to them, ask them whether they still have some space. That's if you still need accreditation. And ask them, because accreditation is a bit very hard these days, but it's possible that some of them still have some spaces that they could spare for anybody who already has funding, who is ready to travel. because people will prioritize those who are ready to travel and have their tickets, have their accommodation, and are ready. But if you're not ready and you're just looking for observers accreditation, nobody will listen to you. So it's very important you organize yourself and let them know that this is what you want to do. And it's also possible that if you go with some observer organization, they might give you some conditions that you'll be part of their delegation, and these are what you need to do, especially when you are on ground there, so that you don't just get out of control when you get there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Titi. We have someone raising up his hand. Please, we can take this last question.
I think I am the one. I think there's a question on how can one be a negotiator, and I think Mr. Boyega can answer that question.
All right, okay, thank you very much. Mr. Boyega, please, there's a question. Someone asked, how can he become a negotiator? Mr. Boyega, are you with us? Well, in the absence of Mr. Boyega, Prince Israel, I think you could help us tackle this question.
Okay, negotiator. This is, I think,
quite ambitious.
Negotiators are usually selected by countries to negotiate on their behalf. So you need to liaise with the focal point, and the Climate Change Council. Then you need to be trained, because there are a lot of technicalities on how to become a negotiator. I think you first be like a shadow negotiator, like when you are a driver and a conductor. There is a shadow negotiators. That's what you start with first if you are admitted. Then with time, before they cannot admit you as a negotiator negotiating for the country. It's a tedious task, and it is being selected by the country. You're speaking on behalf of the country you are representing as a negotiator. So they argue on what should be in that agenda. That is their work. And I think Agnes Africa group of negotiators usually check them out and see where they have call again to admit young negotiators. You can begin to take the course. And from there, your country can also pick you to become one of their shadow negotiators. I think we really need a lot of negotiators as country like Nigeria to be at this important event. So if there is opportunities, I think the country should make it open for people to come learn these processes, and that we can have a good representation at COPs. This is my little deposition, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prince Israel. Elizabeth, we have your hand raised up, so I think we can just take your question. And I think that probably would be the last question, because the program ends by 3:30, so we just have 2 more minutes.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to first and foremost thank 21st Century and the other partners, EnviroNews, and the other one, something, sorry if I don't get it right. Then I want to thank all the moderators and all the facilitators for the job well done. I must commend the conveners for this initiative, because we keep talking of capacity issues amongst us, the civil society. But I can say that if we are taking such actions, the issue of capacity building or enhancement will be a thing of the past. It takes a whole lot to come out this boat to be able to to approach partners for support to be able to do such or put such initiatives on the ground. And I must say, well done, all the conveners. My question is not a question, but also like a comment, and it's coming at the last question and the comment by Comrade talking about negotiating. For me, the entire of the landscape of climate change and advocacy for environmental issues is about negotiation. Because oftentimes we are faced with working together with the government partners and also other partners, even community members. There are a whole lot of things that we need to put on the ground. Well, first and foremost, we're supposed to have adequate knowledge of the issues, adequate knowledge of the relevant governance frameworks, and then the structures for us to be able to make our case and win the case, most times either in favor of the collective communities or collective people, or as Nigerians, or even as a gain towards sustainable development, which we all are working towards. So the issue of training civil society organizations to be negotiators, for me first, let's start at the level of us having enough knowledge of what operates in country, in the subnational levels where we are, and in the communities that we work with and for. There is a whole lot of issues at that level. And I tell you the truth, it's not even at the level of the global meetings, because even at global meetings, for some of us, for the few interactions, I will see our emptiness and nakedness, and I feel so sad. Because where governance in environmental issues, governance is at the local level, it rests with the people. The people have the power to negotiate with government, and then other stakeholders, even for people that come to do business. Even now, for a lot of programs that are coming up or will be coming up regarding carbon credits, carbon whatever, trading, all of those big grammars that some of us are also still struggling to understand. So I was quite impressed when I saw Sister Adetiji as someone that has knowledge of carbon trade, negotiating or trading and all of that. So the issue is, what am I trying to say? I'm training out to all of us that we need to continue conversations around all the processes that will enable us, beginning from the local ones, and if there are not, how do we now begin to advocate and negotiate, having enough knowledge of what is even happening at the global level and at the national level to be able to negotiate for our communities and for our states, and then collectively as a nation. That one will naturally come when we have all of the knowledge and have intervened a lot and are supporting a lot grassroots movements towards climate, demanding for climate justice and climate action. And then someday, somehow, we can get there. But then if there is a school, or if there are programs, and I think some organizations, development partners support, and now supporting training of negotiators, that's not bad, because knowledge shouldn't rest with some few persons, and then others are not there. The more we are in terms of having the knowledge on how to negotiate, the better. But I think the best is that let's start at the level of the local community levels, the subnational levels, and then at the national, holding our leaders accountable to be responsive, so that we all can have environment that we're proud of, because development of humans, of people, is vested in the resources in the environment and all that will make the environment to offer to us, minus the 3 basic needs of food and shelter, and also other, a whole lot of other gains that we have from environment and the overall economic development. That's just what I wanted to say. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Elizabeth. Thank you very much. It's all has been well said. Thank you, Mr. Boyega Olonfemi. Thank you, Prince Israel Oreka. My co-moderator, Ifeoluwa Alabi. Great thanks to you. All the participants will say great thanks to you on behalf of the convening organization. And I think we should all switch our camera so we can take a group picture.
Sorry, I had a quick one. Sorry, moderator.
Moderator, someone wants to say something.
Yes.
Sorry, please. Sorry, I didn't get you. Please
Okay.
go ahead before we take the picture.
All right. A quick one. I wanted to find out, when are we going to begin, maybe say, to build the capacity and empower our school-going children with regards to UNFCCC related issues. I think this is the right time for us to build their capacity at a tender age, so that they grow up knowing exactly what is actually happening at global level. I would like to concur with Elizabeth. What she said is very critical. It's then up to the team, the organizers, to ensure that we actually begin to actually engage the communities and take them through what is actually happening at a global level. Even our school-going children, they also need to really know this information at a tender age, because these are the future climate change negotiators. So thank you so much for the organizers, and I learned a lot. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I agree with you 100%. It should be a process whereby we catch them young, and this can only be done from our individual community. Once we get this knowledge embedded in our children right from the scratch, they will grow up, having a consideration of sustainable development right at the back of their mind, and they would get it right at an early stage. So I think this should be at the community level, and gradually they grow up with it. Thank you very much.
Are we good to go?
Yes.
Pictures, we have not taken pictures.
Okay.
Let's open our cameras so that we can take this picture. Are we ready? Who is taking the picture? Esther, are you there?
Yes, but I'm having a bit of difficulty with my camera. You can see.
Don't worry, just let the tech people.
Okay,
instruct the tech people to take the pictures. I'm sure it will show.
Joseph, you can help take the picture.
Most of us, our cameras are not on. Can we please put up our cameras, please?
I'm ready. I'm unable to put mine on, so just make do there. Thank you.
Are we ready? Technical, please help us take the pictures so that we can go. Thank you, everybody, for joining this training.
Welcome, Madam Titi. Take care.
Thank you so much, Madam Titi. Thank you very much. A pleasure.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yes.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Everyone,
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you for the lecture.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Yeah, we've taken the pictures. Thank you, everyone.
Good afternoon.